Board of Adjustment on this Thursday afternoon, November 9, is to consider the approval of minutes from September 14th's meeting. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the meetings from our previous meeting.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, CJ. Thanks, Dee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. And I see that I have two sets of minutes here. Steve, do you know what it says minutes for me to sign, but then,
Those are for another meeting, I'm sorry. They're
oh,
the same-
okay,
same
that's
thing.
why I was a little confused. Let me pass that to you. Let me just, let's see. Here, I'll do this.
Should have signed that second one just to make them wonder.
Really? Appreciate that. One more.
Not that
pass
I'm a
along.
troublemaker, Randy.
Oh, boy. All right, so let's open the public hearing now. We have three cases. First one is V 2023-015. Steve, would you please present that to us?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before we get started, I want to formally introduce J.C. to everyone. She's covering for Tina while Tina's out. J.C., appreciate you being here and helping out. Thank you for that.
Very good, thank you. Appreciate that.
Applicant, Mr. Richard Frank, and he's present tonight, is requesting a variance from 154.056D. This is relating to setback requirements for 1431 Ash. This is parcel 34269 of Tarleton Heights Edition, which is block 18, lots 7C and 7D. In your packet, you'll see a site plan and some maps that we included from our GIS mapping system. You'll see that this is a kind of a flag-shaped lot in this existing neighborhood. He has adequate width at the front on West Ash Street. Ordinance requires a 40-foot frontage. He meets that. He's able to provide a 25-foot fire lane, and he is, I apologize, we're having some problems getting ready for the next case. 25-foot fire lane, and then he also has parking along his site plan. This is for a 2-unit, 4-bedroom duplex unit. It's in an R3 zoned area, which allows for duplex construction. He meets the lot dimensions with the 75-foot by 100 requirement. The other aspect of that is in R3, he is required to meet the student parking requirements. With the 8 bedrooms, he would be required to have 1.5 parking spaces per bedroom. He has a total of 12, I believe, parking spaces on my last count. So he meets those requirements. What he is looking for is a variance on the rear setback, the back setback. It comes out to about just a little over 10 foot, but will reduce the rear setback to 11 inches and maybe 5/8 if you do the precise measurements on it. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'd be glad to answer any questions. This looks like a good solution for a property that is going to be challenging to develop otherwise. And you might also make one more point in your packet. I believe it's paragraph 3 of your authorities, express authorities. It mentions that based on oddly shaped properties or shallowness or narrowness, it gives you the authority to make these types of decisions and grant the variances. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. And also, ultimately, this board on this decision could approve or not, or deny, but there's no conditional approve.
Correct.
Right, so. All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Killen. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes,
State your name, and
certainly.
then if you want to add some details or anything else to your explanation.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. My name is Richard Frank, part of R&S Frank Enterprises. And the reason for the variance setback is to provide a little better access to the 2 parking spots that are in front of the building. So to give them basically access to turn in and turn out and that kind of thing. Other than that, I believe we meet all the other requirements, so as Steve had mentioned.
Would you do us a favor and go ahead and kind of scroll through the other information there? Yeah, there, that's good, thank you. All right, any questions from the board for Mr. Frank?
I have a couple, Mr. Chair. Mr. Frank, the rear setback is the only issue that I'm seeing, and that's the only variance that I see is the rear yard setback.
Yes, sir.
It appears in the diagram that there is a partial parking space in the front along the drive. Is there any way you could move the structure out and give any more clearance on the back side and take up that partial space? It doesn't appear to me to be a full space on the front, and maybe I'm just misinterpreting that.
Are you talking about at the road itself, or?
At the street, yes, sir, right where
Can
the
you scroll up
sidewalk
just a
cuts
little bit?
across, it cuts across a part of a parking space, and it doesn't appear to be a full space. Perhaps it is.
Well, you have to have a certain amount of setback before your first space, and that's what that is. So that, that very first space where the curve is cannot be a parking spot.
Okay, that's,
So the first one that starts where, the first one back is number one, and goes back up from there.
okay,
So we have to have a certain amount of setback because of
gotcha.
because of that.
This is a single-story construction, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you had any input from the neighbors? Are they, I know that the city sent out letters, and sometimes they contact the city, sometimes they contact the property owner if they know who that is, but,
I've not heard anything, and actually I own a property adjacent to it, so
okay.
I didn't want to complain of myself per se.
You're not gonna point the finger at yourself then.
The biggest thing, the intent is, just so everybody knows, is, realistically, I could have put in a 3x2 duplex, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. But my kids went to school here, so from a fiscal standpoint and all that, and a lot of the students we talk to, they like to have like 4 friends basically live in a place. But to do that, it has to be student housing, that kind of thing. So if you kind of look at that, just for information, there's 2 bedrooms share a bath. So basically, it's like a dorm. So it actually gives them a little cheaper place to live as opposed to living in dorms and stuff like that, or renting a full-blown house. So that's kind of where it came from, is just because I'd originally purchased a house for my son to go to school here, and he was in it and his friends. But from a cost standpoint, it was cheaper to have one extra person help paying the bills, basically. So that was the intent of doing a duplex with four bedrooms.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Questions?
And how many total parking spots will that make?
12.
12. Which that keeps them from parking in the street, which
Yes,
is a
sir.
bonus.
And on
especially-
Lillian, if you've been down to Lillian, you understand.
Oh, yes, sir.
Everybody parks on Lillian down there. So,
Mr. Frank, I had a question on the
Okay.
back. The utilities back there, you've got that transformer located on the back?
that'll be an easement through Encore.
So you have the easement and everything?
I haven't done it yet pending all this, but,
So you'll get with them to make sure that?
yes, and I actually own the property that it crosses
You'll
through.
be able to adjust on that for
Yes, sir.
easement for utilities? Okay.
Otherwise, we would have came from the front, and that created some more issues, so it was easier to just come, put a 5-foot easement on the backside.
That's where I was.
And it runs down the fence line anyway, so.
Good deal.
Okay.
Hello?
Good. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Frank. Anybody from the community here to speak for or against this proposal? Do we have someone on Zoom or something, or?
We do.
Oh.
The next item.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this case then, and do I hear a motion from?
I've actually got a couple of questions I'd like to ask Mr. Killen.
Oh.
The future zoning of this, the current zoning is correct for multifamily. The future zoning is R1. I know that this is just a guideline to go by. Isn't this future zoning map about due to be updated?
Yes, sir, we're working on a 2050 plan right now. We
Okay.
actually have a good time for me to put a plug in for our open house next week, November 16th. I encourage everyone to be there and hear what's going on. Future land use is going to be updated, but currently, what you see is accurate. It's currently R3. R3 does allow duplex construction as a permitted use, so this is a use by right under the current zoning. So great question. Thank you for asking that.
And I'm gonna ask your opinion, with the proximity to Tarleton, wouldn't you expect to see more multifamily housing in this area in the future?
Certainly know that that's a need that we currently have in our community. And I'm I can see where developers and Tarleton, both would want, close proximity to the campus for the students, so.
Okay, okay.
And we're aware of, that Tarleton is indicating that they have a high need for, student housing right now.
And this would help alleviate some of that problem, at least anyway.
Yes, sir, every little bit will help us get to the number they're looking for.
Fire and EMS have okayed the access and et cetera coming down the driveway through the driveway to the property for, safety purposes.
That is correct. Fire marshal's office has reviewed the site plan. It does allow for 25 foot. It's less than 150 foot back to the structure, so they can back out. They don't require a hammerhead if it's less than 150 feet. And we've asked Mr. Frank to just make sure it's constructed to support the weight of a fire engine.
Okay, so, and that's gonna be another question, will the drive be adequate? But if it will be, then that should be, for our fire equipment to get in and out, should be a safe issue. We hope we never have to, but you never know.
That is-
You have to look at the worst case scenario sometimes.
Absolutely, and this is just the start of a process. There will be the formal review once he submits his plans, so
Okay.
all that will be checked through that process.
Okay, one more question, Mr. Frank, and I should have asked you, I apologize. With the change in the rear setback, that puts the building closer to the neighbors on that side.
Yes, sir.
Is there any consideration for a privacy fence or anything along that back side to buffer that between them and the neighbors?
Yes.
I know it's not required in your plan, but I was just curious if you had thought about that.
Yes, sir. We're planning on putting a 6-foot, panel fence all the way around it.
Wonderful.
All the way.
That'll buffer that then.
Encompass the whole thing.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Good questions. Just so I don't have to circle back later on, November 16 is the open house. Can you give us just a couple of details on that?
Yes, sir, left
Yeah.
those out. I apologize. 6 o'clock PM at the Stephenville ISD Bond Auditorium.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Of course, the public is invited.
Everyone.
So,
Yes, sir.
all right, any other questions from the board before we maybe entertain a motion? All right, do I hear a motion on this case?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve case number V 2023-015 for the rear yard setback for the property located at 1431 West Ash.
Very good, I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
So moved.
All right. Any discussion among the board? All right, we'll call a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? This request is approved. We passed. Okay, very good. Thank you for
Forward to
being
working
here. You can.
Thank you,
can go
Mr.
ahead.
Frank.
Thank you.
All right, we're now ready for case number V 2023-016. And though it looks like they're kind of connected, we'll go ahead and take care of each one in their due, time, so. Mr. Kelly.
This is case V 2023-016. Mr. Pack, Colby Pack, he is traveling today, but he's on Zoom.
I see him. There we go.
Requesting a variance from section 154.056D B2. This is minimum lot width of 75 feet for property located at 1136 Shirley. It's parcel R30831, which is block 7, lot 10 of College Heights Edition, City of Stephenville. This lot only has a 45-foot frontage on Shirley Street. Has plenty of depth to meet what he is asking to do. There's a current structure on the property that has, as it's placed, it's 3.5 feet roughly from the property line, so the setback is not being met with the current structure. He has a floor plan that would allow him to put a duplex on the property, but he would need the same setback on both sides as what's currently there, so roughly 3.5 feet. I think he has a more precise number than what I'm recalling off the top of my head. He does have a floor plan illustrated in the packet, and we do have the GIS mapping. And I want to call attention again to that paragraph 3 that gives you the authority to make these variances, grant these variances when you have a lot with specifically a very narrow frontage. And so Mr. Pack is proposing what I would consider a good solution for a lot that may not be able to do anything else with it. And he will be removing a structure that would be in otherwise a state of repair that would be necessary to bring any improvement to the neighborhood. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'd be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Very good. Just to be clear, the recommendation from the city is that there's no objection to this request, it seems.
Correct.
Yeah, very good. All right, well, Mr. Pack, you're on Zoom, and so, I don't know how it all works with Facebook Live or whatever, but we could just still go ahead and ask you to introduce yourself. We're glad you're here, at least via Zoom, even though you're on the road. And then if you want to add any details to your request, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir, my name is Colby Pack. I bought this property, it's got an old abandoned house on it. That's probably closer than 3 foot to the property line on each side, but I've got plenty of depth. You know, the best solution for this property is a duplex. We can get the parking we need, everything, I mean, it's just perfect, and still allow, a 40-foot backyard. That's one of my main things, is trying to keep a backyard for these tenants, instead of trying to put a bunch of townhouses on it or something like that. Still go with similar property to the left and right of us. But like I said, plenty of parking, just gotta get a variance from y'all.
All right. Any questions from the board?
I'll ask you a couple of the same questions I asked the previous applicant. This is gonna be a single-story structure, correct?
No, sir, it will be a 2-story.
It is a 2-story, okay?
Yes, sir.
We didn't have a side elevation that would show that to us.
Yes, sir, and I apologize. Fred Parker's running behind. He is supposed to have it back to us before today, but Fred is a little consumed with the senior citizen drawing right now, so I apologize for the delay.
Okay. It still fits in the zoning, so that's not gonna be an issue, just curiosity, I think, as much as
Yes, sir.
anything. I guess one of my concerns is the lot width, and you can't fix that. And
No, sir.
we need some of these narrow lots to be developed, and that's one of the ones that obviously will be improved when you have something on it like this. I'm gonna jump to the second request, and that may or may not be permissible. I'll ask the chair if I can do that.
As it pertains to this request, of course, we can't make any
Right.
determinations about that one yet, so.
I'm curious about the footprint of the building. If we could squeeze that just a little bit, especially since it's a 2-story structure, that would ease the setback requirements on the side and maybe alleviate some of the neighboring properties' concerns about having a 2-story building that close to them. The width of the lot, the variance on that is a whole lot less of an issue for me than that side variance, especially with a 2-story structure overlooking the neighbor's properties, proposed or possibly backyards.
Yes, sir, and I've actually contacted both of the, pretty much all the neighbors around. They're just glad to see this house, somebody finally buying this lot and tearing that house down because of all the rats, and they're pretty happy with the situation. Bledsoe owns the house right to the right. He's wanting to do something similar here pretty quick, I think. But everybody around, Casey Jones owns the house behind it. He has no problem. I mean, being from Stephenville, I try to take care of it the best I can, because I don't want to get hit with a can of peas when I walk through the grocery store. But everybody seems to be fine with it. The problem with that is, Alan, or Mr. Nix, I apologize.
No, that's fine. Colby, you've known me too long. Mr. Nix was my dad.
I know, but, so basically that house, how it's set, and a 6-foot setback off the side, it doesn't let leave you any room whatsoever. It's near impossible to put something in there. Like I said, I'm trying to be as good as I can. I might, right now it says, I took the brick pocket off. This was supposed to be brick. It's gonna be siding now. To give me another 5.5 inches on each side. I'm really trying to fit it in there as best I can without, when you get back to the back of that property, you'll see there's a bedroom and a bathroom, and I gotta have I need a hallway to get to the back door. And I can't make that hallway any skinnier. So Fred Parker and I have looked at it, scratched our heads, and tried to figure out anything we can do to make it smaller. It's just gonna be impossible. But I do understand what you're saying. I'm not gonna put any windows on both sides of the house, just so we don't have to worry about people seeing in, people seeing out. But like I said, the neighbors, Mr. Vaden and Bledsoe and Casey Jones and them, we discussed with them, and because I'm friends with all of them, and they'd rather see that than some two-story townhouses that stretch, because the people that bought it from were talking about putting townhouses, but they'd have to turn it. Your front door would face Bledsoe's vacant lot, out there behind it, and a sidewalk, and it just wouldn't, no matter what you do, it's gonna end up being a two-story. And I just don't like the idea of not having a backyard and putting townhouses. So that's why I chose to go with the duplex instead of the townhouses.
Okay. Obviously, you've given it a lot of thought, and I do appreciate that, and the fact that you have made contact with the neighbors and tried to be proactive instead of reactive is important also. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions from the board for Mr. Pack? Thank you so much, Mr. Pack. We're going to ask if anyone from the community is here to speak to or against, for or against this request. No? All right, we'll close the public hearing on case number V2023-016. And do I hear a motion from the board?
I'm gonna ask Mr. Killen a couple of the same questions, if you don't mind, about
All right.
safety, access, et cetera. When you move structures off the street, to me, this is one of the first things you need to look at, is the ability to get equipment in and out safely, and to be able to provide safety for those people and the neighbors as well. And I wanted to ask Mr. Killen the same question, and I think I know the answer, but I'd like to have it on the record, Mr. Killen.
Yes, sir. So speaking with the fire marshal's office on a property with this type of layout, there's a 400-foot hose lay practice as well. So if they can, from the street, get a hose as it lays to go all the way to the backside of the property and make a loop within 400 feet, then they're okay as far as fire safety protection. Also, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but even if we run into some challenges on hose lay or 150-foot distance to the structure, if the structure ends up being fire protected, then that allows some latitude in those requirements as well. So
Okay.
plenty of room to work around that, but so far, no concern from the fire marshal's office on meeting what Mr. Pack is proposing.
Wonderful. And having off-the-street parking is an important asset for that area also. That street is a little wider appearing because it's got curb and gutter on it than Ash is, but it's still not that wide, and if you park cars, it gets really congested, especially at certain times of the day.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Killen.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. So do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd make the motion, let me get the right case. Case number B2023-16 for the property located at 1136 Shirley to approve the variance of 30 feet to the lot width. Is that correct?
reduce.
It's a reduction
Reduction
of
the-
10 feet, 1 inch, I believe.
So,
That's-
let me provide a little clarification here. I think when
Okay.
I was speaking, I included the setback issue as well as the 75-foot. And so what we're acting on here is the first one. And that's my mistake for combining the two, so I apologize for the confusion. But as far as, I guess, one has to be approved if both have to be approved for it to work. So the first one would be, to your point, Mr. Nix, we're needing to make this lot acceptable at a 45-foot width as it's currently platted,
Versus the 75-foot normal
which is
minimum.
required, yes, sir.
Okay.
75-foot
So the-
required in R3 for a duplex structure. Obviously, we're not gonna be able to meet that requirement on any zoning district that is currently within the city zoning law. So this is a great example of paragraph 3 where we can make this a usable lot again.
Okay.
All right. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, JJ. Any discussion? All right, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor of approving this request, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. All right, Mr. Pack, so we have one of two down, so let's now hear case number V2023-017. Mr. Killen.
Yes, sir. So this is 1-7. It is for the side setback, which we, again, previously mentioned, where we are sitting with that. Mr. Pack indicated that it's even less than what I anticipated with the current structure. So I have no further comments to add on that, Mr. Chair, unless there are
Okay.
questions.
No, that sounds good. I think we understand. Mr. Pack did he leave?
No, sir, I'm
Oh,
still
okay.
here.
If there's anything you'd like to add to this dimension of the request, now that we are on this actual case, you feel welcome.
I don't have anything else to add, I
Okay.
guess. Just that believe me, I'm trying to do the best I can with what I'm given.
We appreciate that. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and invite anyone from the community to speak for or against this request.
I would be for it. I'm a community member, not involved in this project, but I have a similar situation, and I can certainly understand and appreciate the issues that Coffey's trying to deal with and fix, as well as the issues city has under consideration, and I would be certainly for it.
Okay. Right. Typically, we would have a community member sign in and then go to the microphone and then introduce themselves and speak. So we didn't have you do that beforehand, but is
I
that,
didn't-
this,
I didn't
We'll have it on
anticipate that.
Yeah.
My
we'll
name's
just do the
Woody.
paperwork afterward. We appreciate it. And just give us your name, please, and then.
My name is Woody Gill. I would certainly be in favor of it. I have a similar situation. I can appreciate the lengths that any developer goes to try to make things work, as well as your position in meeting the requirements. So I would certainly be for it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So we'll close the public hearing now, and then I'll ask the board for a motion regarding case number V2023-017.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve case number V 2023-017, minimum width side setback for the location of 1136 Shirley Street, Stevenville.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dean. Any discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Chair. We're authorizing a variance from the 6-foot setback. To me, that Mr. Killen hopefully can clarify this, do we need a dimension, as we did on the 30-foot on the width of the lot? Okay, we know we're granting a 30-foot variance.
Yes, sir.
Do we need a dimension on that 6-foot setback and say a variance to 3 feet or something that is more specific?
That would certainly make it more clear in the future records. So believe Mr. Pack indicated that he needs a 3.5 foot, so that would be a reduction of 2.5 feet. And I would suggest that we clarify that with Mr. Pack.
Yes, sir,
Yes. Yes, sir, you're correct.
So a variance of 2.5 foot to the setback on each side would be adequate to construct what you're planning?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And Mr. Pack, you made the comment earlier you'd go from a brick to a siding to try to get some more width, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I'm trying to get as much width as I can, because I'm just to allow access to that backyard, I'll probably put a sidewalk or something to the right and left. Just try to make it as nice as we can over there. And as much room as I can. Believe me, if I had 6 foot, I would definitely have 6 foot on each side.
Yeah, sure. All right, so any other discussion among the board?
Do we need to amend the motion in the second, Mr. Chair, so it will reflect that?
I think we're just basically, the motion is to approve the request as
Mr. President?
as presented. So I don't know that there needs to be any amendment to that.
If staff's comfortable with that, I am. I don't want there to be enough ambiguity there to create problems for Mr. Pack or us later on.
It's the pleasure of the board. We'll have it reflected in the minutes, which can be approved at the next meeting. If you would prefer to amend the motion, we support that as well. But either way, we have it on record that it's a 2.5 foot reduction, so
Okay.
I'm comfortable with it.
If you're comfortable with that, I am.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. All right, so case number V2023-017 has been approved. Mr. Pack, congratulations. Good luck with your endeavors.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank the board.
Thank you, Colby. We appreciate your investment in the community there and in other places as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Reinforce that for sure. All right, well, I think then we are out of fresh business. So other than just reminding everyone about the open house on November 16 at 6 p.m. at the Stephenville ISD Bond Auditorium, we'll go ahead and adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.